Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel here. I just wanted to do a 2 week kind of follow up here for what's been going on with since I started playing Final Fantasy here. So currently it's been about 2 weeks since I started playing after my friend who you know who you are and I hate you got me into it. As of the moment, I don't know if you can see it at the moment. I'll try and add it in here or edit it over. But currently, after about 2 weeks of real time, I'm sitting at about 24 hours, 23 and a half, 24 hours one day worth of game time. Now, I didn't think I was gonna like this game, not one bit. I mean, I'm someone who loves anime. I mean, I've got like a Naruto tattoo here. I'm getting another like tattoo on my leg. That's gonna be like Dragon Ball Z or Dragon Ball Super and stuff. So like, I love anime, but the game itself for me, it just didn't seem, like something I'd be interested in. Now, the reason for that is if anybody's been, knows me personally or seen any prior videos on the channel, there's some of them. But I've been a World of Warcraft veteran for coming up on, I don't know, 13 years, maybe 14, something like that. Played back when BC originally released before Classic TBC that just came out. So I mean, I've been playing for pretty much all of it except for Classic, original Classic. And my original thought was, this is just too different. Things are gonna be too odd. There isn't that much good things. Now, I think part of that train of thought was because I did try Final Fantasy 14 when it first came out, and I'm talking whatever that original release was. Like I think I got into the beta or something way back then, right? Um, and back 7, 8 years ago, or I think 2014 would have been about when I saw this account originally had a little bit of activity on it. Um, it sucked. Yeah, the game the direction the game was going at the time was not good. There was so many things that were just bad and going around and having issues, and then the um, game director who has been there pretty much since they turned things around, whose name escapes me, and I will try and put it somewhere here on the screen so that way I don't feel like too big of a dick. He took over. He put this game in a whole different light. When he took over, this would have been back in um, back when about Cataclysm was going on in WoW, Cataclysm, WoW, or Panda, things like that. From my understanding, he had his employees go and play WoW to see what they're doing good, what they're not doing good, to take from that, right? Like, if you're a good company and something isn't trademarked and like you can take things from them in a constructive way, you should learn from your competition, grow and advance compared to WoW for the last 15 years who's just been I don't care what anybody else does. I'm just going to move forward, right? So, they did that. They took the good things, they, moved some bad things around, and I think it really shows. A game where I would have never caught, myself dead playing a while back. Not because like it's, quirky or anime like or whatever. I mean, that's fine. It's just that, like it just was bad back in the day. Now though, like I mentioned, I'm about 24 hours in, about that day mark, and if we look at my profile here, uh, so what I've currently been doing while I've been filming this video, just to kind of, knock two birds with one stone kind of thing, I'm going around and doing some gathering professions for my minor class. This minor class, if you see in the top of the screen, it might be a little small for you, is level 20 now. Um, and you can see it right here, I guess, too, in the middle of the screen. Now, that's just the mining class of this particular character. Every character can theoretically be every different class. You don't have to make 17 different characters or whatever. Like, wow, you have 15 classes and different combinations and specs and whatever. You have to have one of every. You have to have a different character that you have to level up individually, right? Well, it's not the case for this one. For instance, my combat classes here, so we have a few of them if we go to the combat classes. My currently highest class is a bard, which starts as an archer and transitions at 30. And then we have two following it with Rogue at 15. It's kind of meh for me right now, but it should get better from what I'm told. And then I have a Marauder and a Arcanist. So so just to give you a time frame, 32 for this Bard. That was the most I played at all, other than these Gathering Professions. Rogue I did over like a day, day and a half or something originally. But the highest level class you have or job you have, whatever, you will get 100%, I believe, or it's a marginally big amount of bonus XP while you level a different job to that level, right? So like because my highest class is 32, I get an immense XP boost coming on any of these other jobs that I want to start and play. Then, I mean, I also have a handy dandy little. If we switch to my, let's go to the Marauder, I guess that'd probably be the. I did. I sold in and I bought the new expansion, the Shadowbringers expansion that's coming up here. And with the pre-purchase of that, you get a ring that increases your XP earned by 30% when you're 80 or below, and your stats vary, so it kind of like switches depending on what you're doing. But so you get 30% there. Then you have a different ring that you can get from doing 7 simple, easy things that you can fall asleep during. But if you haven't played an MMO, these things kind of introduce you to the fact of like move out of things, focus on your tank's target, stop ads, work on different mobs, be able to run around, interact with the world. After you complete that, you get this ring. This ring is another 30% XP increase when you're below level 30. So any of these other jobs that are not this bard right now, they have 30% increased XP on top of the 30% XP coming from this one that'll also work on my bard. Um, and then you can get the increased XP for the ones that are lower than your main class, right? So like there's so much skill uh increase or XP increase to help you learn other facets of the game. I was watching a video by I can't remember who it was, but I mean this is pretty self-explanatory, I suppose, by pretty much everybody. But you know they made the point that whatever job you start out with, so your initial starting class, what's the likelihood you're actually going to stay as that class when you hit max level, right? It's probably not very high. You're more than likely gonna, try something else. Maybe you find something else you like. So you're not gonna stick with that class. So the fact that they give you so much XP to try and catch up, and also, with the new expansion coming out and the level cap being 80, you're probably gonna be higher than that when the new expansion comes out. They help you catch up to be able to play with the other your friends and family, whoever that might currently be playing. Um, so this is just kind of like the first impressions of after about a couple weeks or a full day worth of playtime that, you know, anybody who thinks that they wouldn't get into this game, I think you should give it a try. And the best part about that is there is a trial account that you can play. You can play up to level 60 for free. You're capped on a couple things. Like I don't think you can trade your gil or gold or whatever you want to. Your money, really, your money. Your money is capped at like 300,000 or some stupid number, which is very small in the grand scheme of things as you're getting farther in the game. But so you can play 2/3 of the way to or 3/4 of the way to the current max level on everything. So if you wanted to play a Marauder, you wanted to play an Archer and level that up to a Bard, or if you wanted to just do profession stuff, you could get all the way to 60 on basically everything as long with just the trial, and that's free. You don't have to spend a dime. I mean, does WoW do that? No. You maybe get to like 15 or 20 or whatever it is now. I mean, sure, that's about a third of the way leveled up, but you don't get to experience end game content or things like that. You can experience leveling raid equivalents to WoW, dungeons all the way through. You can do all these different things that WoW doesn't allow you to do. Now, I'm not saying you should just up and quit WoW. If you like WoW, you like WoW. Many people have quit, WoW for Final Fantasy, and I'm not going to be that person either. I don't think in the long term. I love TBC Classic. I think I'm going to continue playing TBC over, as the time progresses, and I will definitely go back for Wrath of the Lich King Classic or whatever the heck they're going to call it when that comes out in a couple years, because that was my glory days back when I was younger, right? Like that was when I was at my prime for MMO gaming experience. So I want to be able to go back and experience that again with new light and hopefully be a little bit better than I was back then. I'm not quitting WoW completely. I'm retail probably, the current WoW I think I'm probably done. But the older WoW options, I think I'm going to still stick around. But what do you guys think? Have who have you tried Final Fantasy from? Has a friend tried to get you into it? Have you tried it? Have you sat down and tried the trial? The download does take a little while. That's a little bit of a pain. But once the download finishes, every I haven't had an update yet, I don't think, so their updates aren't horribly big when they do come out. Uh, and one thing, if you're a WoW player, that might you might find interesting or you might hate it, is Final Fantasy doesn't exactly or really at all have a PTR, right? So in no public test realm where for instance in WoW right now they just announced the release date of patch 9.1 in like 2 weeks. Now, coming into this, everybody and their mother would have known what is relatively going on in that patch. We have a preview. Most people can log in, or as long as you're signed up for the test realms, you can log in and test out, see some of that new content before it's actually live on your actual like retail account. Final Fantasy doesn't do that, from my understanding. From multiple videos I've seen since starting, and kind of just looking around at it before I actually got started, there's no PTR. There's no really knowing what's coming out, right? And so when an expansion drops, for instance, for Final Fantasy, right, this new expansion that's coming out, you don't know what to expect. Nobody does, other than devs, obviously. But like, there's no inside look. I suppose somebody might, like leak something here or there, but like on a wide scale, WoW does their beta tests, and I mean, there's a good reason to do a beta test. I understand you need to test things, make sure things work. I get it, but if you also just test your own game properly, which WoW has not traditionally been doing lately, you you don't need to have players test your game for free and get free labor out of it. You could do that work yourself and then not spoil things from. How does this do? Some gathering points will possess certain characteristics when exploited. May increase overall yield, blah 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 blah. Okay. Gathering point characteristics are displayed directly beneath the points integrity bar. Uh, Whatever. Okay. Um, so I don't know what that is. I don't see that thing that currently popped up, I guess, so I'll look at that later. But so going back to the test realm thing, for this game, when the new expansion comes out, everybody's going in blind, right? You have, even the major streamers, they don't know what's going on for this game unless I mentioned like a leak of some kind from someone, but as a whole, nobody knows what's coming out. When a new WoW expansion comes out, everybody's been playing that new WoW expansion already 6 months ago when they got into the alpha or beta to help test Blizzard's game. The experience for a lot of people is ruined. That's why a lot of people don't play the beta or alpha for WoW because they don't want to ruin their new player experience when they play the retail version, right? So you don't have to worry about that. You'll always be kind of surprised, which maybe you don't like that. Maybe you like knowing what's going to go on. Maybe that could be who you are. Um, but overall, though, I think everybody should try this game. Whether it be for you know a couple hour. I think the minimum time you could put into this realistically would be maybe 5 to 10 hours would be a good like safe point that I would consider. Um, you know, Give it. Aha! I see what it is here. Now it shows up. Um, I would give it 5 to 10 hours maybe. See kind of what you like. Try gathering professions. There's mining and botany. There's like skinning from my understanding. Let's look right here. So yeah, you have mining and botanist, which is like just cutting down trees, getting logs and stuff. Fishing is pretty self-explanatory. Um, but then you have crafting professions. You can be a carpenter, which would come from your botanist. You can make items for your house. Oh, that's another thing. This game has player housing, which is fairly inexpensive from my understanding to get, but you can sink a lot of money into it. Whether it be in-game money, which hopefully is what you're doing, or you can sink actual money in some cases into it. But there's so many things you can do. You can make your own armor, you can make your own weapons, you can make your own jewelry, make leather like leather gear, because that's traditionally the thing that I tend to be using would be leather stuff. Weaver, cloth related healing things, I suppose. Alchemist for potions, culinarian for food, and most food gives you a buff, right? Let me see if I have any food on me. I should have some food in this mess of junk here. I have buff, or I have mats, but I don't think I have any active food, unfortunately. Um, no, I does not look like I do. But anyway, the point I was trying to make was, so a lot of the food, for instance, gives you a 3% XP increase, which, yeah, 3% kind of piddly, but 3% adds up, right? And you get like another stat increase on top of that. Maybe you get like vitality for health, or you get a little bit of a spell hit to help you, have a higher chance to hit and not miss. So like this game is, there's just so much that you can learn and go on with. And I 100% will admit and agree with it can be and probably will be overwhelming right away. But don't dive right in necessarily if you think it could be overwhelming. Take a step back, sit down, maybe do one thing at a time to kind of see what's going on. Maybe you want to start with getting like 5 to 10 in like your battle class or character class for like combat, and then go do some professions for a little bit, because your professions also kind of get limited as your main class goes up as well, right? So level them all up around the same time, it'll be a lot easier to keep them leveled up, but give it some variety, work on one thing then work on the other. um and I know this was kind of just, it wasn't ranting, but it was just kind of like a long-winded video. It's, approaching almost 20 minutes if I don't really cut anything here, which I don't think I'll really have much to cut. Um, but it's just the first looks and feelings of Final Fantasy 14 after having played WoW for, like I said, 10 plus years, 10, 12, 13 years. Um, I think it's something everybody should try, even if it's for 5 minutes, or in 5 minutes you're probably not gonna get much accomplished and see much, but it changes. There's a lot to do, and I think everybody should at least experience it. If you don't experience it, you'll never know what you're missing. But at the same time, then you won't be able to be there with a lot of your friends who are now there. And just kind of final closing stuff here, just to kind of give people an idea. If you've made it this far, one, please hit that like button and drop a subscribe as well. Trying to grow this channel as best as I can for, trying to, get some gaming content out there, try and be more of a creator on the side when I can. Um, but as far as the game go, just to give you a comparison between like Final Fantasy and WoW, supposedly, the numbers that were found by a recent poll here, which should be able to put on the screen, was showing that Final Fantasy is now eclipsed WoW on their uh, subscriber numbers, right? Like people, WoW in the height of like 2008 and 2009, back when Wrath of the Lich King was out, my baby of an expansion, they had 12, 13 million subscribers and concurrent players. Everybody loved it back then. Now, they're down to like two. Now that number is probably plus or minus when we throw in, Classic WoW and TBC Classic and things like that, but still the fact that the giant that was Blizzard back in 2010ish, 2008 to 10, that had that many players is a fifth of what they used to be. That says something. The game is going in a direction that players don't like, myself included, and they're looking to find something new. And maybe Final Fantasy 14 will be that something new for you. I hope you have a good one, guys, and I hope to see you in the next one. And have a good one. Peace.